Thabo Ntokozo Nzimande grew up as a troublesome child. He says he started smoking when he was still in high school. He caused trouble for family members. They did try to help him, and then they gave up, to a point where no one really wanted to stay with him anymore. His grandmother, Beatrice De Lange, took him in. She loved him and took care of him with everything in her. On June 7, 2024, something strange happened at an estate in Morris Newcos Road in Pinetown. This is where Thabo and his grandmother Beatrice stayed. Neighbors noticed that Thabo was loitering around the yard. They would then soon find out that this was just moments after Thabo had allegedly stabbed Beatrice using a bush knife. He then decapitated her. When he was done, he took her head and played with it, kicking her head around as if it was a soccer ball. They called the police and Thabo was arrested and charged with murder. Last month, on September 12, Thabo appeared in court for the start of his trial. During his appearance, he told the court that justice for his grandmother will have to wait because he is not happy. The prison conditions are not suitable. He says the prison he is being held at, the Westville Correctional Center, is not tidy. He says the conditions are bad, and sometimes he has to go days without bathing because of this. He says the food is too small. It's not enough. He says in prison, he sleeps in a box. He can't wash his clothes, and when he wakes up in the morning, he has to come to court again for trial. He says he is not happy with the way they are treating them in prison. This is a story of how, even after pouring her heart out to her grandchild when no one else wanted to, at her frail age of 80 years old, Beatrice was allegedly killed by the very same grandchild. And now, her justice will have to wait because her grandchild is not happy with the conditions in prison. This is Beatrice De Lange said story. Welcome back to True Crime with me, Julia. This is where we profile true crime cases that have happened in South Africa, just to give a voice to the victims of various crimes in South Africa, mainly of gender-based violence. This is to keep their stories in the main and document them. Today's story caught my eye sometime last week on TikTok. It kept popping up even more yesterday after the story of how a 25-year-old man hacked his mother to death in Mahikeng, which was captured on a viral video. We did that story yesterday. Please do catch up with the story on the link above on your screen. So let us get into today's story. In a quiet suburb of Pinetown, KwaZulu-Natal, an 80-year-old grandmother was brutally murdered, and the killer was her own grandson. Neighbors say they had nothing unusual that night until police arrived to a scene straight out of a nightmare. Beatrice De Lange, an elderly woman who had cared for her grandson all his life, found dead in her bedroom, her head severed and discovered laying in the lounge. The man responsible, her own grandson Thabo Ntokozo Nzimande, a man battling drug addiction, anger, and inner demons that finally exploded into one of the most horrific murders South Africa has ever seen. Beatrice was described as a kind, gentle woman, a grandmother who believed in second chances. After her daughter's death, she took in her grandson Thabo, raising him as her own. She supported him through school, through his battles with substances, and even paid for his rehabilitation. According to her daughter Ziningi Miyaka, Beatrice attended almost every one of Thabo's rehab sessions. She wanted to see him recover. But behind her compassion was growing fear. Fear that Thabo's addiction and anger were spiraling out of control. Court records reveal that Thabo started smoking dagga and tobacco at just 13. In January 2024, he spent a few weeks at the Julo Rehab Center in Durban. But it seems his stay did not last long enough to heal the damage. Family members say Beatrice often complained about Thabo's temper, especially when confronted. One family argument, just 2 weeks before the murder, became a serious red flag. When Beatrice questioned him about a failed drug test, Thabo allegedly screamed in her face, calling her a crazy old BH. Ziningi recalled the confrontation. She said that she gave him the benefit of the doubt and didn't realize that that was her mother's cry for help. On June 7, 2024, the Pinetown police station received a chilling call, a disturbance at a house on Maurice Nico's Road. When officers arrived, they saw what was beyond comprehension. Beatrice's body was found in her bedroom, her head missing. Moments later, they discovered it in the lounge. Thabo was found inside the house wearing blood-stained clothes, standing near the body. Police say he used a bush knife to behead his grandmother and that he was allegedly seen playing with the head after the act. He was immediately arrested at the scene. Thabo appeared in the Pinetown Magistrate Courts days later, facing a charge of murder. He later appeared in the Durban High Court, where his trial began. During proceedings, he complained about the conditions at Westville Prison, saying he was forced to sleep in a box, he couldn't wash his clothes, and sometimes went days without bathing. He also claimed he couldn't access medical aid when he felt ill. But for many South Africans, his complaints drew little sympathy, especially given the gruesome nature of his alleged crime. Acting Judge Phumi Sibisi ordered that Thabo be given immediate medical care, but warned against delaying the trial. Meanwhile, the courtroom had shocking testimony from investigating officer Sergeant Yolene Pillay, who said Thabo spoke clearly when he was being arrested and understood what he was doing. This raised questions about whether his actions were premeditated or as a result of mental instability. In a heartbreaking testimony, Ziningi told the court that the family asked Thabo why he did this. She says he shouted that he had to do it. She said her mother had done everything for Thabo, from paying his fees to including him in her will. She says sometimes she asks herself how she failed her mother. The family's grief was shared by the wider Pinetown community, who gathered to mourn and demand justice for Beatrice. The court did order Thabo to undergo a mental evaluation, and one of the facilities he went to did note that he had bipolar, or he was diagnosed with bipolar, but another facility went into the contrary to this, saying that he did not have any bipolar or he did not have any mental issues, saying that he was of sound mind. No verdict has yet been delivered. The trial is still ongoing, but South Africans are watching closely, eager for justice for Beatrice De Lange, a woman who gave everything to help her grandson, only to lose her life at his hands. This story is a painful reminder of how quickly love and care can be overshadowed by addiction, mental illness, and just plain violence. An elderly woman lost her life in the most brutal way imaginable, and the family was torn apart forever. What are your thoughts on this case? Was this the act of a man in mental crisis, or a cold-blooded killing by someone who had lost all empathy? Let's talk about this in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to True Crime Julia for more South African true crime stories every day. Once again, please stay safe, and I will see you on the next one.